A boat fell off its lift. Another one flipped upside down. This one landed on a pier. And a sailboat broke free from a mooring in Annapolis. Captain Dale Plummer and his wife Christine have owned Towboat US, Annapolis, Baltimore, Middle River for 15 years. They say the recent storm brought one of the highest storm surges they've seen.
Right after the storm hit, bones started ringing off the hook.
And these are some of the pictures sent in. This 32-foot Boston whaler in Round Bay in Severna Park drifted off its lift.
It had gone up into a marsh over some rocks while the water was high, and then the tide goes back out, and then it's stuck and trapped behind the rock jetty.
It traveled about 3/4 of a mile. Pictures on social media helped them find and recover the boat.
The problem is during the storm, when the water level raises 4 to 5 feet above normal level, the water level would have been up to here, which is 2 feet above the piers. The one way to avoid that is to learn how to override your lift. Most automatic lifts have this, but you should have your lift installer show you how to operate it so you can override it in an emergency.
Plummer's lift in Pasadena goes up another 3 feet, which got him through the storm.
If you're not on a lift, make sure that you can adjust your lines and leave your lines loose enough so if the boat rises in the lift, it'll come back down and settle down.
Or he says, better yet, if you can, get the boat on dry land.
The drain plug in the bottom of the boat is typically there for when you're storing on dry land or up on a lift. And it'll drain the rainwater out of the bottom of the boat and not cause a problem. The problem is in the wintertime, you pull the drain plug, you put it up on the lift, but if the water level gets above your lift, the water enters the boat through the drain plug and then can sink the boat right on the lift, or if it drifts off, then it drifts away and sinks somewhere else.
Up the bay in Havre de Grace, Captain Josh Argentino, owner of Argentino Marine Sales and Service, shared video of his crew's salvage work on this Bayliner 2160, which was docked at Tidings Park Marina.
The nose was pointed up and the aft of the boat was down in the mud. So the reason the nose was pointed up is because it was hanging from the lines on the pier.
Don Crowell owns the boat and says he prepared for the storm by checking the bilge pump and battery, but he wishes he disconnected the line to the ladder.
And in my case, make sure that you don't have an additional rope tied to the ladder so that you can pull the boat closer to you when you go down to the boat. You disconnect that. I think that was the thing that caused the issue on my boat. That rope got tangled on the ladder, and I think as the water rose, it didn't allow the boat to rise with it.
Crews lifted the boat to where the gunnels were on top of the water and then pumped it out. If there are no holes in the bottom, it will float. Captain Argentino says boat owners should trust the forecast and prepare for the storm. He took us below deck on a boat at Penn's Beach Marina.
The bilge pump is very important to monitor before a storm because that is your only way of getting water out of the bilge. If you don't have a working bilge pump, the bilge is basically going to fill full of water and boat will go down. The float switch is also very important because that will turn on the bilge pump automatically for you.
Once the storm hits, you have to consider your own safety.
Once those issues start happening, is it too late to be able to do something safely?
It can be, especially with this storm coming over 2 foot over docks. Some of the safety hazards that might come up, you've got electrical that's running through docks. So if there's any kind of feed into the water, it's not safe to walk out in the water with the electricity. And then even something as easy as boards that aren't fastened down appropriately to the dock.
Don Crowell says he learned his lesson, and moving forward, he won't take any storm for granted. For Chesapeake Bay Magazine, I'm Cheryl Costello.